to the cloud.
That's perfect. So that I know there were some parents that really so it was a better time for them, but had other obligations. So we were hoping to be able to post it on the website tomorrow, at least the audio version. So thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Gave it a few more minutes, again, about 10 minutes after 6 here. So thank you very much for your patience and understanding. I'm Principal Karen Gannett, for those of you who don't know who I am. And I have Mrs. Shaw, our
Hi, everyone.
administrator with us this evening, who's going to help me with monitoring the chat. I wasn't sure how many people would join the meeting. So I thought it might be just easier just to take questions and try to answer your questions. So she'll be monitoring that. And I also am very happy to say that I also have my IT director here, Lisa Rowe, joining us for any specific questions about the Chromebooks or any technical issues that you might be having over the last couple of days. We really have done a great job in really distributing as much as we possibly could, but we have had some backpacks back ordered. So if your child didn't come home today with a Chromebook yet, that's in the works, and we're hoping to be able to get that to your child with the necessary backpack and other supplies and materials. We're hoping maybe by Monday, give it a few more days during this cycle. But the whole purpose of this forum is really just to be here for you and your questions. I'm hoping, again, it's very important that we communicate with each other and that we partner in your child's education. And I know I sent out a lot of information last week with my September 4th email that had a lot of links to it. So basically, it's really just to kind of check in with you today. Let us know how your child is doing, how they feel about being back to school. It's only been the first 2 days, but I thought this would be a good time to check in and touch base. And to see if you had any specific questions that I can try to answer, or if you had any particular questions, certainly either about lunch or busing or anything that I could try to point you in the right direction, or any of those links that I sent you to take a look at last week with the handbooks and that kind of thing.
I did want to mention, Karen, today I sent an email to all the freshman parents on how to read the rotation for the schedule, but I also posted that on our website under the student service tab, and then you go to guidance, and it's guidance events. At the bottom of that tab on the side, you'll see a video. It's about 6 minutes long, but it really explains how to read the new schedule with the rotation. So even if your child is not a freshman, you'll be able to kind of transfer that over to your grade level.
Thank you. Awesome. And it takes a village. So I might not have all the answers today, but I certainly can reach out to others who certainly are part of the admin team here at VP. So if I don't have an answer for you today, I'm more than happy to, seek it out and get back to you, or either through another forum like this or send it through email. Again, I just wanted, for those of you who are just logging on, I'm Principal Karen Gannett, and being joined by Mrs. Shaw, our Pupil Services Administrator, and Mrs. Rowe, our IT Director. I just wanted you to know that we did, I think, mute the gallery, but we're going to monitor the chat because it seems to be a lot of you certainly who have joined us, and we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to get their questions in if they do. I'm also always available. Those of you who have been emailing me right along, certainly, and try to get back to everybody within the day. And I just wanted you to know that we are trying to record this meeting for audio purposes, so we can put it on our website for tomorrow for anybody who's missed the meeting. So with that being said, Mrs. Shaw, do we have any questions already?
Sure, I have a few questions. So please explain how in-school academic works. Will they be moving from class to class or staying in one room for the entire day?
Okay, so Good question. And they are staying in one room for the entire day. They are not moving around from class to class. One of the things that we decided as a school and an admin team, along with, I worked with 2 committees over the summer. One was specifically about education and educational needs, and that was a task force. And the other task force that we developed was a safety, transportation, and facilities task force. So with over 300 pages now that I think we've read through from the Department of Education, the CDC, Department of Public Health. One of the things that was suggested even at the high school level is we go back to almost like an elementary type cohort model and not have the kids minimal moving about the building. So that's the reason why the academic students are in one class in a cohort. That's what a cohort is. And the teachers rotate in those classes throughout the day. So the kids do get to go outside or are in the gym. They're getting mass breaks. They should have PE every day, just about in their schedule. The teachers are taking them outside for mass breaks, and then they are able to go down to the cafeteria, get their lunch, go back to their academic classroom. They're eating. We purchase trays. So they're eating at their desk for the day, and they are able to take their masks off and staying 6 feet apart at that time.
Okay. Let's see what we have. Okay. Are some teachers teaching in person more than one classroom at a time?
Some teachers teaching in person more than one classroom. It's not really one classroom. So what happens is the teachers who are teaching in person have the kids spread out over 2 classes with a door open in between the 2 classes. However, there's always a second person. So some of them are co-taught, some of them are what we call co-supported, and some of them are just what we call co-monitored. So the person is going back and forth. The teacher's actually on record is going back and forth between 2 classes, but it's not really 2 classes. That would be one class separated over two rooms. And so the door is open between those areas so the kids can stay in their desks 6 feet apart, but they're getting the same lesson. So we're working on some technology. Some teachers, even though we're wearing our masks all day, have actually amplifiers on and headsets so that the kids can hear from one class to the other. We're also working on technology, moving towards technology of maybe even being able to pair the smart board speakers with those amplifiers.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
What time does school start and end each day?
School starts every day. We're not having the kids come into the building anymore until 7:30. They used to be able to come in about 7, but we had just a very skeleton crew here at that time in the morning to be able to monitor the students. And we used to have them go down to the cafeteria and just let them gather and socialize. So school actually starts at 7:45 and it ends at 2:15. With that being said, the doors are pretty much locked until 7:30.
Okay. We just had a lot of questions come in at once, so I'm just trying to find where I left off. Okay. Is there a reason why 10th and 11th grade students are going 3 days a week while 9th and 12th are going 2 days a week during the month of September?
Yeah, so it shouldn't work out to be 2 days a week. So it's really it should be a 3 days on, 3 days off type of cycle over a 6-day cycle. The reason why we did the 2 days, the way we did them with 9 and 12 coming yesterday and 10 and 11 coming today was so that we could try to get as many students Chromebooks to use on their remote days. So even though September is a little bit off as far as even freshmen through their exposure week, where they're going to have 4 shops over a 6-day cycle to somewhat explore. They have other things built in there, so there's 19 shops. So they have that, but they also have a session with their guidance counselor, a session with their vocational coordinator. But anyway, over 6 days, the freshmen will be doing full remote exposure throughout the day.
I did want to mention, someone had said my son has had a great experience so far with remote teachers, very organized and helpful. Thank you for that. When are seniors going to start working on Common App or Naviance to prepare for college applications? I can answer that one if you'd like.
And I saw the email today, so.
So our guidance counselors are working on some videos and presentations for your students as we speak. So that will be forthcoming very soon. We're also having a financial aid event. I sent all the senior parents that yesterday, the day before, by email with a link. So if you did not get that, could you please email me at mshaw@bptech.org, but I believe it went out to all of the parents. But the guidance counselor are currently working on some mini sessions with you guys and putting some stuff on the website. So stay tuned for that. There's a bus question on here. I think that you would have to call Bloom for that one. They're just asking if a bus was combined, but Bloom would be able to answer that question for you.
Well, and I don't mind adding, I mean, it's been hours and hours and hours of trying to reroute these buses. So when I do receive emails that say, oh, you know, I want my child now to switch from remote to in-person, the reason why I had to put a limit on being, I think it was, you had to notify us by Monday, is because we have just X amount of seats on every bus. I mean, of a 71 passenger bus, we can only put 24 kids. So every time we, you know, the reason why I said no more changes until at the end of term 1, which is the end of November, is because whatever model we decided on for, or whatever model you decided on for your child, it's a huge process to try to reroute buses and things like that. So Bloom right now is definitely doing the best they can, but if you have an issue about the route or the stop or the, you know, the time, I will tell you that the Department of Ed also relaxed the pickup for high school kids, that a kid can walk up to 2 miles to a bus stop. Now, I know none of us want to hear about that, and we're trying to do the best we can with that, but Bloom Bus Company is the company we contract with, and they try to make the routes as safe as they possibly can, obviously. But the Department of Ed has said high school students can walk legally up to 2 miles to get to a bus stop. And I think Bloom Bus Company has done a nice job with trying not to do that.
Okay. Please explain why students that are fully remote for academics are not able to take AP Calc.
We don't have, AP Calc, I know we're working on something, and again, I don't have all the answers for that right now. AP Calc, we're trying to actually try to put together a remote class for that. There wasn't an opportunity in the scheduling for an AP Calc teacher at this moment in time, but we are working on that. I think there'll be more to come from the academic coordinator and the program administrator, who are in the process of trying to schedule that course.
My child chose full remote but would like to switch in person just for a shot. How would I go about making that change?
So one of the things that I just spoke to the vocational coordinator, Mrs. Markham, about this evening is you need to reach out to your child's guidance counselor. We weren't going to be trying to make any changes. We don't know if we can put your child on a bus, but if we can try to do that, we will. We realize the hardest part in a vocational technical school, other than a traditional high school, is the kids really need their hands-on learning. I mean, you know, there's nothing that's going to recreate the, you know, the smell and the machine and the tools and all of that in carpentry or metal fab or plumbing or any of our shops, really. The teachers are doing the best they can as, you know, teachers and trades people to try to put as much as they possibly can in a 5.5-hour day for kids who are fully remote online. But, you know, we've had to put a disclaimer out there that we don't know whether or not a licensure board or anything like that will accept these online hours as really being certifiable. you know, we're doing the best we can with what we have. So I would say, please reach out to child's guidance counselor and see if we can make something work for coming in from being a full remote model to at least in person in shop.
What happens if the student is late for a remote day? What is the process?
Probably a tardy, even though it kind of sounds silly, but what we're doing is we are taking the, again, this is a trickle down effect. So from the state of Massachusetts, we have to take attendance at every period, every class. Shop works a little bit differently because shop teachers are working with the same kids, obviously, throughout the day, even remotely. But in our academic classes, we have to take attendance every period, every class. So in a remote session, what we had decided back in the summertime when we were putting together our educational plan is that teachers would have to have some kind of like either pre-class assignment, what we would call a bell work or a do now. So even if the teacher isn't checking in like a Zoom meeting like this right at the start of class, they're putting an assignment out there for the child to do. You know, I mean, again, is it 5 minutes? I mean, that could be very relaxed. Is it somebody who's showing up halfway through, you know, a block of, you know, half hour, 45 minutes into a class? I think we have to take a look at that.
Okay. When are IDs coming out? Somebody was just wondering when they'll receive them.
Sure. And so I have Life Touch. I couldn't get Life Touch here to school, which is our school photographer, much before, I believe, the end of September. But what we're doing in the meantime, anybody who wants to send a picture ahead of time to my secretary, her name is Lindsay Pelly, and her email address is if you want to write this down, LPELLEY at bptech.org. So if you send a photo of just a headshot of your child to her, she'll create an ID for them. We have plenty of lanyards; they're all ready to go, and we have the barcodes on the badges. So all we really need is a picture. So she sent an email out to freshman parents back in the summertime, and I think our freshmen right now, I think we're up to about 180 of our freshmen who already have IDs. So if your child lost their ID from last year, with just like a new one, there's no charge for that. Just please, again, it's LPELLEY at bptech, and she'll be happy to make one. Okay. Just have your child swing by the main office.
There's a couple of individual questions about schedule changes. If you could just contact the guidance counselor, and if it's a special education question, please contact Amy Cohen, the special education coordinator, at acohen, COHEN, at bptech.org. A parent's concern is about the will not get a real feel for shop through remote exposure.
Well, I think I just kind of, you know, said that in a nutshell. I mean, you know, as a principal of the school, I know we're doing the best we can to try to recreate, but I'm not going to tell you it's going to be the same experience. I'm going to be honest and tell you they're doing the best they can with trying to, you know, offer, you know, there's more maybe theory work, there's more, you know, the related class being put out there. They are going to be making, you know, demonstrations, video demonstrations that kids can watch at home. But, you know, we can't be sending home, you know, sheet metal, blow torches, you know, air guns, you know, that stuff. You're right. That's not going to be able to be recreated at home. So, you know, it's definitely an abbreviated version of what shop really is. And, you know, I had several parents, you know, go back and forth with me over the summer. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's certainly parents' choice, and that's why we gave choices, but I can't say that'll be the exact same experience. It'll be an experience within that field, but, you know, very abbreviated.
Okay. Is the schedule for October different from September?
Yes, in some degrees, if you look on our website at bptech.org, September is different from October for the simple fact that October should actually even out to be over a 6-day cycle. You'll have more 3 days in person, 3 days home remote, and then that'll continue. We're going to send home, rather than overwhelm everybody, we'll take down the September calendar, start following the October calendar, and then once the month of September is done, we'll be putting up the November calendar. You know, and just do like 1 month at a time, add it on at a time.
Is this cycle, are these new systems permanent for the rest of the year, or is there a time to revisit the schedule and all of the precautions?
Oh, yes. So the whole purpose of putting this, good question, the whole purpose of putting this together the way we have is because, again, it's come in the summertime, in July and August, when we were planning for the school year, we were asked of the Department of Education to plan for the first 12 weeks of school. And the goal for every school in the Commonwealth was to try to get as many students as you could in your school with abiding with all the safety COVID guidelines. And, you know, myself and the superintendent have been meeting online like this with the Commissioner of Education almost weekly since last spring. And that has been the goal of the state, the governor, and certainly the Commissioner of Education. So every school in the Commonwealth has tried to be very compliant with that. But by the same token, I don't know if this will be, and the reason why we're only rolling it out month to month in very short, you know, snippets is because depending on the trajectory of this virus, maybe we can have back to full in-person school come, you know, January or February. A lot is going to depend on what happens in our Commonwealth, and not even just so much the Commonwealth across the board, but within our own geographic location. So the commissioner has said on several occasions that let's just give VP as an example, we're a one school district. So if I have a case reported, let's just say down in auto tech, I might not have to shut down the whole school. I might just have kids from that particular shop. If a kid has been exposed during shop, maybe just that shop stays home for 2 weeks and we don't have to shut down our whole school. And the purpose of that and why the commissioner said that is because when you think about big districts, let's just take the city of Taunton, you know, depending on as vast as Taunton is, maybe it just might be East Taunton that's having an issue and not the rest of the city. So he really wants to try to keep schools open as much as we possibly can. But with that being said, it's either going to stay the way it is and status quo. It's, you know, the virus will, you know, now that we do have, hopefully with all safety measures in place, hopefully we'll be able to continue to keep adding as months go on, having more kids in the building with maybe less distancing and that kind of stuff. So it's month to month.
Mrs. Rowe, could you jump on for just a moment?
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
A parent wanted to know if they could use their own Chromebooks, but I didn't know if you'd like to explain why it's best not to.
So it's not or 0 or 1. It's not a one and done, but we need the students to be on the school Chromebooks for 3 reasons. One of them is that we can maintain all the apps that the students need relative to the school, and we can push those out to the Chromebooks. A lot of teachers right now are fluently using different third-party tools to try and like take attendance or with Classroom. Another thing is that teachers can hop on to those Chromebooks and assist a student if they're having technical difficulty through the Go Guardian. I will tell you that this is new to a lot of teachers and it's a learning curve, but at some point, a teacher can actually see all the students in their classroom and jump in. And then the third reason is that all of these devices go through our school firewall.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Rowe. I just want to ask, Marta, would you mind muting, please?
Sorry.
No problem, thank you.
Okay, so the school firewall. So all the school issued Chromebooks are actually attached to the BP Tech domain, not necessarily through the wireless that you would have at home, but they're associated with the domain so that they go through our school web filter and firewall to protect the students for any kind of Chrome browsing, and that's federally required. So I don't mind that the students might do productivity work on their own machine if it's better, but they should have that machine up because the teachers can check in with them. The teachers can see their machines. Teachers can actually take control of their machine and give them some assistance. And we're working on training with that. And this is all a learning curve for everyone. But if the student has that Chromebook, if they prefer to work on their own device, production-wise, I don't mind that, but they should be live on that Chromebook so that the school's engaged with them. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, I think it does. Some students didn't receive their Chromebooks yet. Is there a time frame for that?
So we had some backpacks that came in. So we ordered the backpacks in the summer, and it took a while to get them printed. And when we started going through them, and there were 1,375 of them, we had around 200 that had some broken zippers, and we didn't not want to hand those out. So they actually already have been shipped. So a lot of the students, mostly 10th graders and some 11th graders, we have the Chromebooks, but we don't have the backpacks yet. So we have not handed out the Chromebooks to them without the backpacks. We know that they're here today, tomorrow, and Monday, and that they're in classes or shop. And we're hoping that we can have those all disseminated by Monday. We just wanted to make sure that the kids had everything that they needed together.
I'm not sure which of you two could answer this question, but a parent is wondering how they can check on if their child is engaged while they're at work and student is at home. Is there a way to monitor that?
Not that I know of. I don't know about Mrs. Rowe.
I'll tell you, as a teacher, the teachers are taking attendance throughout the day. And one of our, because I'm a teacher as well, so what the teachers are doing is they're checking in with the students at least twice a day. And if the students are not engaged, we are communicating with the parents.
Thank you. How are the classrooms set up? Thank you, Mrs. Rowe. How are the classrooms set up? Is there plexiglass around the desk?
No, there's not plexiglass around the desk. The desks are separated at least 6 feet apart, which is why I explained earlier in the academic classes that it looks like a teacher is teaching over 2 classes. And it's not. It's really just one class, but spread out so much that the kids are really far enough away from each other throughout the day. No plexiglass. I will say the plexiglass is in areas where kids visit, like the guidance office, the front office, those areas, the lunchroom, there's plexiglass as the kids go to check out at the register. All along the food area is all plexiglass. But no, not individual classes. I will say, I think, and I haven't been, I mean, I've been around to the shops. I think what we did in some of the shops, maybe biotech, we did put some, but again, those were pretty much because in the shops, the kids had to work on lab tables, and we didn't want them to be, too close to each other. So maybe a few areas, but not as a whole in every class.
Is there a plan for sports?
Yeah, that's a big question. So the superintendent and I had decided that we just needed to get this school year off the ground and see if everything that we had planned for all summer long was really going to come to fruition, and make sure that, we kept everybody as safe as we possibly can and in our power. And then, the MIAA, we weren't planning for anything after school, just having the kids come to school, and at 2:15, all kids go home. Get picked up and let's see how that goes for a while. And then the MIAA came out with that they were going to implement sports. The one thing that I will say is our whole Mayflower League, the league that we belong to as a vocational school, has all decided along with us to take the fall schedule and call it it's going to be a floating season. So if all goes well and everybody stays safe and healthy, what the Mayflower League has decided, along with other schools and districts in the Commonwealth, some schools are having their fall season, but our league has decided not to. So that will take place in January, February would be winter sports, March, April would be fall sports, and then May, June would be spring sports. So what we decided to do is not necessarily, it's canceled for right now, absolutely. But if things go well and we can implement winter sports, maybe January and February, then we'll move the fall sports season to March and April.
Okay. A parent did have a concern about the 20 minutes for when they're home, being able to prepare and eat a lunch within that time frame.
Yep, that was something we talked about this summer of what that might look like. We wouldn't know until we tried it, but I know myself, I thought the same thing. If, kids are home, it's not like they're going through a lunch line and something's already made and prepared for them. So I would think that we will be having those conversations. We actually have a meeting tomorrow with the admin team for what that looks like for remote learning. Do the kids need to, especially if the parents are working and kids are home, give them some time to get up and use the restroom, make a sandwich or make something for lunch. Might take a little bit longer than their usual 20 minutes. So that is something that we are going to discuss.
Co-op for seniors, is that happening?
Yes, co-op for seniors is being done through Mrs. Corellis. Again, we have new Department of Ed guidelines, so Mrs. Corellis has had to implement new paperwork with our employers. She's actually had to go out and do a whole visit to every co-op or potential co-op site. It wasn't just a given that because they were a co-op last year that they could still continue to be a co-op this year. Certain safety measures would have to be in place in order for employers to want to take on our co-op students again. But the answer to that right now is yes. And I want to say we have possibly a good 20 to 25 kids, seniors that will already be standing out on co-op next cycle.
Is breakfast available, and what is the protocol for kids to arrive and receive it?
Yes, breakfast is available. Breakfast and lunch are free every day from now till December 31st. That was one of the things I put in my recent email to everybody. The federal government has decided to make that across the US. So kids can come through, get whatever, pick whatever they need, hot lunch, cold lunch, and they just walk through the register, don't need their student IDs or anything like that. The same goes for breakfast. So breakfast every day is a package that might be a muffin or a yogurt or something like that. But the kids that are coming in at 7:30 certainly have the opportunity to go and get breakfast. They've got 15 minutes upon arrival. And if let's just say their bus is running late or you don't get here till 20 minutes to 7 to drop them off, remind them that we have passes. So if they come in and they want to eat before they go to class, they have plenty of time to eat, and there's a monitor in the cafeteria that will just give them a pass to get into their first period class. What I will say though is that it's really important, after December 31st, anybody who would like to fill out a free or reduced lunch application, we are encouraging them to, because if you're getting free lunch now, it won't automatically be after December 31st. So the school district, the business office will need that paperwork. And I also sent that out as a link. It's on our website.
Awesome. Okay. There was some questions about when they enter the building, if they want to have a lunch and they come in through the gymnasium, they just need to let the monitors know they're going to the cafeteria to get a lunch. So I just wanted to...
Question.
I'm sorry, did someone just say something?
Questions should be done.
Everyone is eligible for the free breakfast and lunch right now. So please make sure they have their breakfast if they want it and their lunch, and they go through the line, and they can, if they want a snack like potato chips or things like that, they will have to pay for that. But the lunch that they have prepared is free. Let's see. Now that students are in one room, how do you accommodate their various level classes they may have registered for? For example, if my son is in mostly honors or advanced, I just want to make sure he's in the class he registered for.
I would say if you have any questions like that, because off the top of my head, the program administrator did most of the scheduling along with the vocational coordinator and the academic coordinator. So I'm not going to say I'm no way near as well versed as he is in scheduling, but I will tell you, I certainly know enough about it. If you have any questions about levels or anything like that, please email your child's guidance counselor, because they at this point have access to your child's schedule, individual schedules, and can answer some of those questions, just like the earlier one about the AP Calc. If enough, problems, questions arise out of some of that stuff, we'll see what we can do to be able to accommodate. individual situations.
And a few parents have mentioned that they're working from home, or there's multiple students that are working at home, so connectivity might be an issue. Just want to take that in consideration.
Yeah, and I know I had that problem myself when I was working remotely from March till I came back in the office here in July. We had called at my house, it was Comcast. We called Comcast a couple of times, but basically it was my husband, my son, and myself, all online trying to do work at the same time. So it would drag, or be interrupted, or sometimes it totally lost connection. So I don't know, Mrs. Rowe, if you have any suggestions for families about that situation.
Mrs. Rowe, are you with us? She might be muted.
Yeah, so I would say, Mike, unless she has something else to add, I would say just try to contact your internet provider. You might have to, an attendant might have to come out to your home, maybe give you a new modem or something like that.
So there was one question about the 12th graders have to go to school with their Chromebook. So if they were issued a Chrome in the school, so that we did issue them a backpack, so they should bring that in the backpack to school when they're here.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I lost connection for a second. So
Oh.
I know it was an internet connection, an internet question.
Yes.
What was the question exactly?
So the question is, some parents are having some connectivity issues because there's multiple people working and or schooling at home. So just taking that into consideration when we're remote learning and remote teaching.
So yeah, and ideally between 8 and 2:15 is the time. And all teachers right now are doing things differently. Some are staying on meetings all day and the kids can check in. The kids don't necessarily have to be online all day. They just have to check in and do their work in classroom. I'm not sure all the situations that's so fluid, like every family or probably has a different situation. So I'm not exactly sure how to answer that, other than I think the kids should probably just check in when it's mandatory, if that's a situation. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep. So there's a question about the hotspots. I don't know if you want to address that. I don't know if I lost her again.
No, you didn't, but
Okay. So the hotspots are on back order. I can answer that. The hotspots are on back order. They are working on that. If somebody does not have the internet at all, they can contact me at mshar@bptech.org, and I can provide you with a letter to contact for some connectivity. The problem is it's very lengthy wait online right now, or on the phone, because everyone is utilizing this in other schools as well. So the hotspots are not available yet. I think everyone was kind of jumping on that and ordering them. So I just checked today and we do not have them yet.
I want to add to that, I want everyone to understand that everyone in the state and probably in the country has a high need for technology. So yeah. Comcast does have the Internet Essentials for families that qualify. So they have their own litmus test. You can call, and it is a back wait, but you can do it online if you have access online somewhere, on your phone or at work as well. And as far as, devices, I mean, we've been very fortunate. I know schools in our own district that are back ordered for devices for students, some till November, some till December. And a lot of that is because of the virus and the manufacturing of devices from other countries. So I want everyone to understand that we're trying to be really flexible. It's not going to be a fast solution. If you're experiencing some kind of delay If you're experiencing a lot of difficulty, we will definitely help you with that. We have a really good crew, and we have some really good resources, but everyone's doing the best they can. And I would say all the schools are in the same boat. And that's just the way our world is right now. So I think we're pretty fortunate that we have what we have right now, but it's difficult. Like right as of today, everyone's trying to get the same thing at the same time.
Right. So the option for a co-op is, so right now we are offering co-op for seniors.
Mhm.
Correct, Ms. Gannett?
That's correct. Yep.
Juniors do not have an option until second semester, 11th grade.
Right.
In a normal school year, that is the it's second semester, grade 11.
Right. So that usually comes, I was just going to say that just to piggyback on that, that usually comes out to be somewhere around the last week of January that juniors are able to go out and co-op. And so, yes, as of right now, as long as things are good, you know, and things, you know, people stay well, that will be an option. I know one of the things that we are cautiously watching is opportunities for our community health, our dental assistants, and early child care. So we have to look and watch the Department of Public Health's map that they put out. So let's just say our kids are traveling from here to maybe Catholic Memorial, and I think that's in Fall River or something like that. We have to look and make sure that that is still a green zone and not a yellow zone or a red zone. And if that's the case, then they don't go out on internships and co-ops. So again, Mrs. Corellis, our co-op coordinator, especially in the health related fields, has to monitor that constantly, every day.
Thank you. Mrs. Rose, can you attach a wired network jack into a Chromebook? We find a wired network system is better and would like to do that if possible.
That's a good question. We have several iterations of Chromebooks, and I'm not sure. I think right now most of them are wireless, but if you look on your Chromebook, if there's a port that looks like a phone jack, then you can do that. If you cannot, then it's a wireless only device.
Okay, thank you. Let's see.
But we can help you with that if you email me. If you email tech support, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. If you email tech support, TECH support at bptech.org, and you give us your child's name, we can actually look up that Chromebook. I know they have USB ports. I'm not sure that all of them have, you know, cabling, connectivity. But you're right. I mean, it's definitely, if it's cabled, it's better connection.
Right. I just want to touch one more on the senior co-ops. So students, we get listings and postings and we put them on. We provide them to the students, but they also can find their own co-op. So Carrie Corrales is our co-op coordinator. It's best to talk to her. She has all the ins and outs for co-op. And if you call the school tomorrow and ask for the co-op coordinator, she'll be more than happy to help you. And how do mass breaks work?
Teachers have pretty much their autonomy on when is a good and appropriate time to take a break. So sometimes it depends on when the lunch shift is when they're in person. So if you have an early lunch shift, they might wait till lunch and then the kids take their masks off when they go get their lunch and they come back and they're eating it. And then they might take a break in the afternoon. Sometimes depending on the classes, they're taking them in the morning and in the afternoon. They've been going outside, kind of like single file, almost again what you would see with an elementary school. And then they're distanced at least 6 feet apart, like 6 to 10 feet apart from each other, outside on the grass or the football field. I've seen them all over the place in the last couple of days. And they're with their teachers. They're never left alone. And then they have a chance, some have walked literally around the exterior of the building and then back into the building and stayed single file. Seems to be working okay. We haven't had any hiccups at all. I mean, the kids overall seem to be thrilled to be back, and that certainly made us, happy. We were thrilled to see them in our halls and classrooms and lunchrooms. So I think overall it's been a great 2 days. And so we'll continue
Yes,
along this line. The other piece is that they do have, and they're in academics, not shop, they're having a PE every day. So on bad weather days, they'll be doing stuff, stretched out across the gym, away from each other. And then on good weather days, they'll be outside.
Thank you. Mrs. Rowe, are people able to install printers on Chromebooks for students to print assignments?
No. And,
Okay.
and that's okay. It's okay to go paperless. They should be able to save any document that they have and either upload it to the classroom, email it to the teacher, or get it to the teacher in some other format.
Okay.
And
Thank
if there's a specific question about specific software, so some shops have very specific software like Creative Suite, Adobe Creative Suite, or other things, we can chat about that. But in general, if they can save their documents and then upload them to classroom, or I would upload them to the classroom before I email them to the teacher, but they should be able to do the same thing. So if they can print it, they can save it and upload it.
Wonderful. Thank you. There was a question about purchasing a USB network jack. Can they do that?
I'm not sure what that means.
Can I purchase a USB network jack? We have one for the other computer and it works good.
They can try it.
Okay. So there's a couple of questions that came up about safety while we're Zooming with our students. Maybe inappropriate videos that are going on before the teacher starts the class, and if teachers are trained to shut down a Zoom meeting if there is an inappropriate interaction from home to the teachers and the other students.
I'm going to jump in here and tell you that if the Google Meet is happening on a school device, we track everything. So
Okay.
if that is happening and it's reported, we will find out what's going on.
Okay, so I'll speak to you about that tomorrow.
Well, and I just want to say a whole nother reason why we should be making sure that the kids are using the school issued devices. I mean, obviously we know that there had an issue in another school district very close to us, and police are on top of that as well. We do have an SRO here, so if something is reported, certainly we will get on that immediately. We're certainly we hope that things are being monitored at home, but we realize, especially at the high school level, that parents are working. So that's not always easy, but again, just to kind of give you peace of mind, knowing that that's why one of the reasons why we issue these Chromebook devices is that we can, bring anything up at any time to ensure everyone's safety.
Thank you. There was a question about guidance counselor assignments. If you go on to, so Mr. Montesano's grade 9 for everyone. If you go on to our website under parents and students top tab and go to student services, on the side tab it says guidance department. I listed each shop and guidance counselor associated with that. So you'll be able to check there, and the guidance counselors stay with their students from grade 10 to grade 12. So that doesn't change. Okay, let's see. Oh, we're asking it that you use our backpacks. And if a zipper is broken, please let tech support know. Is that what we want to do, Mrs. Rowe?
Yeah, we've been finding that the zippers are glitchy, and that's why we have some 10th graders and a few 11th graders that don't have those yet. So I'm sorry about that. So yeah, if that's a problem, let us know and let's replace it.
Well, and I have had some students ask me, I mean, really and truly, the backpacks are a gift from the school. Some kids said, you know, my mom or my dad or my, guardian has already purchased one. Does it have to be a BP backpack? And I've said no. Then the answer to that is no, it's a gift. I mean, we bought them for the kids to use them and to save you some money. But certainly as long as it's got some type of padding inside the backpack so the Chromebook stays safe. Again, it's, we want to make sure that it's not just put in a string bag or somewhere where the Chromebook is, going back and forth from school to home and it's not in a padded area.
Someone was just asking again about the AP Calc. When's the soonest there'll be a class or plan made?
So there isn't, I believe there is an AP Calc class already going if you're in person. So it's really just for the remote only students. And again, I don't have any information right in the here and now on that. And I can't guarantee that we will run an AP Calc remote class. But I do know that the program administrator and academic coordinator have had just some discussions that are working on that. So if there is any information to come from that, it would either be through the guidance department or certainly through the academic coordinator.
And how do you report if there's inappropriate behavior on a Zoom meeting? What's the best approach?
The best approach in the moment is certainly if the teacher has a live Zoom meeting going on, is to inform the teacher somehow and she'll shut the meeting right down. The second thing I would say to do is between the teacher and certainly if whatever a parent saw or a student could report is to get in touch with Mr. Mosier, our assistant principal, Mark Mosier, you call the school, email him directly, and he and along with the school resource officer would do an investigation. So if you see something, please report it so that we do know immediately.
So do they contact, what's the first avenue? I'm sorry, maybe I missed that.
Sorry. So first avenue would be the teacher who's running the Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
the second thing would be the call the school, ask for Mr. Mosier, email him directly. Would be myself, any school administrator. We would get right on that.
So a parent just wanted to get a feel of how the things went today. Were masks being kept on, the social distance maintained?
It's interesting because I think that prior to the kids coming through the door, these are the questions I was getting hit with my staff constantly, and I kept saying, let's give the kids a little bit more credit because you know what, this has been ongoing for 6 months now. Many of our kids, I think we gave out, Mrs. Shaw and I can both tell you, more workers permits and, paperwork for workers permits than we ever have in probably the history of the school. So kids have been out, they've been taking advantage of, work opportunities. And it's not like VP just didn't, started with, hey, you got to come to school. Yes, you have to come to school and wear masks, and that's new, but this has been ongoing in our society for the last 6 months. So we haven't had any issue, not one. The only thing that I can say that has been a little bit of an issue is the CDC and the Department of Public Health have said that they prefer that students do not wear gaiters or kerchiefs or anything really thin material, not one-way, not masks with one-way valves. And I actually announced that over the PA system this morning, and it is in our handbook, our COVID-19 supplemental handbook that's posted on our website. I know it's a lot of reading, but basically that's one of the other reasons why if you've got a Chromebook and a backpack, inside that backpack is we bought the kids masks to wear. Now, do we expect them to wash them, every day and have them come in clean? Yes. But we also have paper masks here, or the medical masks. So if it gets the one we give them gets soiled or dirty, or they just forgot it at home, we have plenty of masks to be able to supply the kids that are, definitely of a higher safety grade.
Okay.
But no real issues. And I stood in the cafeteria today for 2 hours, making sure that they stayed socially distanced. If anything, that's the harder thing to do. I mean, and the kids are good about it, but they just, 6 feet is, we have spots, and I keep telling them to stay in the circle, because the circles are all 6 feet apart. So it's just, gentle reminders, but nobody at all that has given a hard time or really a lot of pushback about this.
If I missed anybody's question, will you just restate it at the bottom? I'm just going through trying to, if somebody's late for a remote day, do they contact the teacher or do they contact Ms. Ducharme and Mr. Moshe's office?
It could be both. I would suggest if I were the parent and, somebody overslept or, things happen, to have to get a younger sibling off to a bus I realize we pull from different districts to a bus stop or something like that. And we actually had that happen. Absolutely. Email the teacher, email Mrs. Ducharme, and so to make them aware. Even sometimes a guidance counselor would be, the more people you let know about it and what the situation is. We're going to deal with things as they come up. Life's not so black and white. It certainly hasn't been for the last 6 months, that's for sure. So there's a lot of gray areas. So we'll look at each case individually. We're certainly not, we're not here to slam anybody, certainly not here. It's not punitive. We're here to help. We're here to support. I know it hasn't been easy for parents trying to do this at home in the spring by, no means. And, that's why, we know you have to work and your kids are home and it's not easy doing this, and then again, being a regional school, your kids might be other children in your home might be fully remote, or some other school districts are doing 2 days at home, 2 or 3 days at home and 2 or 3 days, 2 days or 3 days in school. And ours is totally different. So, we definitely will work with you. Just communicate. This is the most important thing.
Somebody had a question about dual enrollment. I am going to give you Miss Bennett's email address. She's in charge of dual enrollment, and anybody else that would like to speak with her. It's tbennett, BENNETT, at bptech.org. She'll be able to answer your questions about dual enrollment. There is one question or two questions about freshman exploratory. How will it work since they haven't started yet?
Yep, so the kids will go through exposure. That's going to be the week where freshmen just stay, 6 days. I don't want to say week. I want to keep making sure I'm talking about a 6-day cycle. So the 6-day cycle is going to be fully remote. So the kids won't come in for those 6 days. And then they'll do their academic cycle, 6-day cycle, 3 days in, 3 days home. And then they'll go into exploratory. So what will happen with that, because again, it's going to be over a shop cycle, they're going to have 3 days in person and 3 days home. So for each shop that they explore. So they'll be having a little bit of both. They'll have theory and some activities to do online. And then certainly when they come in, they will be doing all hands-on over those 3 days in person.
So some students have still not received their Chromebooks. Another parent was just wondering when that was going to happen.
I'll talk to that. Within the next few days, we're waiting for backpacks. We have all the Chromebooks are allocated. We're just waiting for the backpacks. We don't want to send them home with a Chromebook and a charger without a container. So I think those will arrive tomorrow, and between tomorrow and Monday, I think everything will be allocated.
All right. And if somebody didn't receive a BP mask, how can they get one?
Oh, just come to the main office. We have a whole bunch here. I'm more than happy to give them out.
With state restrictions in place, are there any opportunities for parents to volunteer at or for the school?
We're really limiting that, even with if you're a parent who we had a couple of kids that didn't like the lunch or whatever, and their parents brought them lunch. The kids actually have to come down and meet you at the front doors. So we're really trying to limit as many outside people, visitors. A lot of team meetings are being done like this virtually. But certainly that's good to know. The other piece is, I think, the parent council, which is kind of like it's called parent council here, but it's our PTO group. I just spoke to the president or emailed him this week. I think that they will be starting up their meetings again, and they're looking for new members and volunteers, and they do some fundraising, and I think they're going to try to continue to meet monthly virtually. So if that's something that you're interested in, I know that I usually help them out and try to put that advertising out there when I get a flyer from them or anything that's going on that I know they'd like to build that as well, and that's a lot of fun and a lot of volunteering.
Okay. Just to clarify, is it 3 days per shop, and how many shops for exploratory?
So there's going to be 8 exploratories, and no, it's not just 3 days. It's 3 days in person for shop, but the other half of that cycle is going to be 3 days at home. So over that 6 days, let's just say one of your shop choices is going to be, or exploratory choices is engineering. You'll do engineering as a freshman, 3 days in person and 3 days at home. And then you'll have an academic cycle, and then you'll go into, let's just say your next shop exploratory is cosmetology, and you'll do 3 days of in-person here at school in cosmetology and 3 days of cosmetology remotely online. And that'll be 8 cycles.
Okay, 8. Just, I have a couple of questions about if anybody's exposed to COVID or what happens to the rest of the cohort.
Okay, good question.
Yeah.
Yep, so we're taking those things case by case. We have I think it's a 40-foot trailer on site. So if kids come down to the nurse's office and they're screened, they only see pretty much one child at a time in the nurse's office. And depending on the symptoms, that the child is exhibiting, if they feel at all that it has anything to do with COVID symptoms, they automatically go out to the trailer with the child. They do a more extensive, check fever and other symptoms that would be potentially COVID related, and they will call parents to say, come pick them up in this trailer. And then the whole custodial staff goes in, disinfects the nurse's office, the trailer. But to answer the question about particularly about what happens if, I have a whole packet here, protocols of what to do in different situations for responding to scenarios in schools. So basically this came out again with a coordination from the Department of Public Health and the Department of Education. And so it tells me, for example, obviously if a kid comes back from a vacation and they've gone to Mexico, they're not coming here for 2 weeks. If we get wind of that, obviously if we don't know, that's one thing, but if we do get wind of that, and kids have a tendency to tell us everything, sometimes more than we need to know, but we'll get on the phone and call a parent and say, I'm sorry that your child cannot come here for two weeks. And so we're tracking that time frame. If a kid is symptomatic, it's one thing if it's symptomatic, and then we encourage the parents to go for testing. If the test is negative, then they can return within 24 hours. If they test positive, then they have to be home for at least 10 days and until 24 hours have passed with no fever or other symptoms. And then if a parent decides that they don't want to test the kids and the kid goes home, child goes home and they are symptomatic, they have to stay home for at least 10 days or until 24 hours have passed. Now we've had other situations where they're asymptomatic, no symptoms at all. And we haven't had that yet, but in this particular chart, so if they have no symptoms, but they've been contacted either through I believe it's called a Commonwealth Marketplace now or something like that. It's basically a state agency and said, your child works at Wendy's and they've been exposed to somebody at Wendy's who works there and they have tested COVID positive. Well, if that's the case, you certainly notify us that that's the situation. If depending on where the child was within the school, we certainly would let those parents know that we have had either a confirmed, I guess we have to wait till we have a confirmed case. So again, if that child who works at Wendy's goes and gets tested and is negative, they really still have to stay home for 14 days because we don't know if they've been exposed and they're asymptomatic, but the test results came back negative. Or if their test results come back positive, that's when we would notify, and even actually through the state, that's through the Taunton Board of Health as well, would be notifying families of students in that class that they've been exposed to a student in their class who has been tested positive. And that's pretty much that's the protocol in a nutshell. There's a lot of other paperwork here, but that's basically how it works.
Could you give everyone Mr. Moshe's email address in case they've already talked to the teacher, but they have not responded if there was inappropriate?
Sure, absolutely. So again, it's Mark Bozier, and his email address is M for his first name, and then last name, Mosher. I'll spell it again. So it's MM, technically MMOSHER bptech.org.
Thank you. Just checking to see if there's any more questions. I think I got them all, but they were coming in fast, so I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Oh, if somebody has to leave early and they're remote, saying like dismissed, what do they do?
Let's just say it's if it's I would certainly let the teacher know. You send the kids have email access to all of their teachers, and certainly they can do it through there or through Google Classroom. The teachers are checking, the remote teachers are checking Google Classroom all day long. And I would just say it's a good practice. I mean, if it's 2:05 at the end of the day, I don't think that would be a problem. If it's noontime and the child's not going to be able to log back on to any of their, Google Classrooms or activities for the rest of the day online, or, not join a Zoom class, a live session or a demonstration, then I would definitely make sure that Mrs. Ducharme knows as well.
And any students that need to get parking permits, they'll see Ms. Ducharme in Mr. Moshe's office.
Yes. Yeah, we do
This year we are assigning parking spots, so we want to make sure they see her sooner than later.
And that's also, Mrs. Shaw, just so that everybody knows, the reason for that, to going back to that is, and the same thing with our teaching staff, they all have assigned parking places, is because that might be something else we take a look at, who is this person who might be infected parking next to, and notify those families as well.
And I would ask that people make an appointment to see Mrs. Ducharme rather than just go into her office.
Yeah.
There was a crowd of kids, yesterday and today that wanted their parking permits, but if they email her or call her and make an appointment, it's much safer, and they can get their parking permit.
Absolutely. So if somebody's going to be dismissed from school in person, what's the protocol? So a note will need to go to Ms. Ducharme so she can record that. And when dismissal time comes, the student will come down and just check out with her. Parents will meet, if they're coming in, they'll meet them in the lobby area, the first set of doors to,
Yep, that's excuse me, that's exactly the protocol, Mrs. Shaw.
Yep. Okay. I don't see anything else. If you see, just send something now before we go off. I just want to make sure we got everybody's questions answered.
Overall, I hope that everybody found this to be helpful, and I mean, I'd love to hear any quick comments about how your children felt coming back to school today. I'm hoping that they thought it was a great day between yesterday and today. I know it's a little hard for teenagers to be in one room all day, and not being able to move about like they used to, not go to their lockers like they used to. But in the end, I think that, we're all doing the best we can with what we can do, what we're allowed to do, with being compliant, certainly with, all the powers that be above us at the state level. So I think, it was just great to just see them here and being able to engage again with their teachers and see them working on, Chromebooks even in their classes. I went around to every academic class yesterday. I went around to just about every shop yesterday. And today I saw every student come through the lunchroom. So, the kids certainly see not just myself, the whole administrative team. So I would hope that they felt that, that it was good to be back. It's definitely different, and I keep telling them that it's definitely different, but we're going to get through this together.
So if one of the questions was, has a lot more students going remote, or are they hybrid? Seems like we have.
That's a good question, and I don't mind sharing that data that I have either. Right now, I think as of Monday, I haven't updated the data yet, but as of Monday, I only had 79 students that were fully remote, and I only had 89 students that were full remote academic, but in-person or the hybrid shop. So they would come to shop for the 3 days that they could come to shop for 3 days. So out of 1,300 plus students, that the majority of the kids and families wanted students back to school. I do have a lot of parents dropping off and picking up rather than taking the buses. So, but today I was pleasantly surprised that we do have a lot of kids taking transportation.
Do the more, and you can raise your hand and ask the question. No, I'm not doing it. Do it.
Hi.
Do you have a question? You can
Yes,
type it in.
I
Go
was
ahead.
wondering if freshmen, if they have to have like the full dress code from the exposure shops. I'm not.
Yes. Yes, they have to have the dress code because they're going into different technical areas. So we do ask that they abide by the safety protocol we have for the dress code. We don't want to have any issues when they're exploring the shops.
Okay, so will we find out ahead of time which ones they have first? I'm sorry, I'm a little confused with it.
Okay.
That's what we're here for. So the answer to that is absolutely yes. Right now, we don't know what shops the kids are going to be able to explore because they're going to go through that exposure week. So after they go through sorry, it must be my family wondering where I am. Sorry. Still at school. This is most nights I'm here till this time anyway. Sorry about that. But once the kids go through that exposure week and they really kind of get a feel for the videos they're watching and what they think they might connect with, then they're going to be having probably what we call a Google form. It'll be an online kind of like survey of what they really want to gravitate towards. And I believe that they picked 5 and we picked 3. And one of those 3, you'll probably hear your freshman complain that if you're, a male student, you might be going to cosmetology or childcare or health assisting. We really try to give each kid a non-traditional experience, okay? And if you're a young lady and you really want to come here for cosmetology, you might be finding yourself in at least one exploratory in metal fab or automotive or something like that. So that's really important to us. So the second thing is there will be and you'll get more information as we get a little closer to this first exploratory of what is needed for each shop. But I will tell you, for something like steel-toed shoes or anything like that, we do not expect our parents to go out and buy that for 3 days in a shop. We have what we call like toe covers that can go over a closed-toe shoe. So it might just be, in metal fabrication, you can't come in with sandals on. It has to be a closed-toe shoe, but we will have toe covers to be able to go over those shoes for those 3 days. So we will definitely walk you through the steps once the student or your child goes through that exposure experience.
Okay,
Can I jump in here just for a second? I
Sure.
believe, and I might be wrong, but I believe the freshman calendar has the first 3 days remote. I might be wrong because they're 9 and 12, right? So forget it.
Okay.
I was thinking they were going to have the first 3 days remote and then in person, but I think it's the other way. So with dress code and things like that, I think they'll send things out ahead of time for the kids so they know what to expect. And like Mrs. Gannett says, a lot of that stuff is provided for the kids because we know they're just coming in and exploring. But so I wouldn't worry about anything about that till final placement.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. There was one question I just want to answer. Students are going to the gym if they're being dropped off. They will, if it's after 7:30, they go directly to their class. If it's before 7:30, they are sitting down, social distance. So students are not walking around the building unless they're going to get their breakfast. We don't want students. Students traditionally do a loop around the building for about 15 minutes, and we cannot have that this year. So they're either staying in there in the gym until 7:30, but after 7:30, they're just walking through. So I hope that answers your question. And walkers and drivers, we're staggering the dismissal. So we did do 204 for walkers and drivers. And then the buses are dismissed by bus at a staggered rate. If somebody's being picked up, they get picked up in the front of the building. It's one way in. They come in, they go back out the same way, which is Hart Street.
Yeah, I actually saw a lot of that outside yesterday on bus duty, and I'm not sure if it was freshman parents that just weren't sure where to pick up, and then I apologize for not getting that information out to everybody. Sometimes I forget, been here so long that, we just know our own routine, but this is not an easy campus to get around. I'll be the first to say it.
Right.
So in the morning, the parents have to drop off coming in the Hart Street exit, because you're going to find that the back is all buses and you can't get by. And so now you're trying to cut through the back parking lots to try to get around to the front of the building to drop off your child. So just remember, if you're dropping off, picking up, Hart Street exit, and all the buses and student drivers are out on the County Street exit. And hopefully that helps a little bit.
So somebody asked, students can go in the gym at 7:15. All students must be off campus by 3 p.m.
Oh, yes. I won't have adults here in the buildings till 7:15.
Right.
7:15, it was, so a lot of this is based on when the teachers can come in, and the teachers are due on campus at 7:30. So 7:30, doors are open
Yes.
at 7:30.
Yeah.
I know today we were allowed, I know Mr. Moshe was here early, and he allowed kids who were waiting.
I was out there as well. So, I mean, if you're here at 7:15, I'm out front. I can line students up until the gym opens. I'm happy to do that because I want to make sure kids are here. Parents have to go to work and they're dropped off. So I'm usually outside out front about by 7:10. So students are very good the first day lining up. We're able to open the gym early today. If we have monitors there early and they open the gym, obviously you can go in there, but I will be happy to help make sure if you need to be dropped off early that I'll be out there.
And I just want to say on the
as I can.
Sorry, Mrs. Shaw. On the other end, school ends at 2:15, so 3 o'clock is really pushing it. I mean, staff can leave at 2:30. Again, there's people around, but I don't have people monitoring halls or anything like that.
Right.
So if your child is waiting for a ride and you can't get here till 3 o'clock, we used to have the gym link. I used to have a night security person that was walking the halls and making sure the kids were just waiting and supervised in the gym link. We don't have that this year. The buses are leaving campus at between 2:15 and 2:30. Teachers are leaving the campus at 2:30, so there's not really a whole lot of supervision if you can't get here till 3 o'clock. I mean, I'm not going to put a child outside to wait alone, but they're either going to be waiting in the gym link by themselves or in the front lobby by themselves.
They might be in the front lobby, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just trying to think. Oh, so somebody just joined late, so we did record this, so we should have it up on the website tomorrow. If somebody arrives early, they are certainly welcome to sit in their car at 7 o'clock. And the buses do not start unloading until 7:30 every morning.
That's correct.
And one more thing is, if you needed to pick up a Chromebook, please call tech support. 143 is their extension to make an appointment to pick that up. And somebody just asked when the last time the last film was. So I think we got everything.
I want to
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yes,
Yes.
I know it's been a little over an hour, and I want to thank you for your patience with getting this started, but it's somewhat new for us. We definitely expanded on our Zoom capability to be able to have up to 1,000 people. So I want to thank those of you who have been patient with us, and we hope that this was helpful. It certainly was for us. Instead of just always email back and forth, the suggestion has come from several parents to, try to do a little bit more face-to-face like this. So I'd like to continue this on, a regular basis if you think that it was helpful in meeting with each other. So, and
I do want to say it was very nice to see the kids in person after 6 months, and I could tell they were happy to be there. Through the mask, we can still see a smile. So I hope they saw our smiles because we were smiling right back at them. So thank you guys for your patience, and we hope that we were able to answer most of your questions. And please contact the guidance office for any guidance related issues, and check our reopening plan. If you do have a question and maybe wasn't answered, you thought later, maybe I should have asked that question. Most of the questions are answered in our reopening plan. And please check out that video. If you're not sure about the rotation, I did post that on our guidance website today.
Thank you for
With that-
doing such a wonderful job.
Thank you. We
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
that. We
Wonderful,
appreciate-
wonderful.
Thank you very much. We
you.
appreciate that.
We're here for you. We're here for you, so don't hesitate to call or email us as well. You know, any of the admin team is more than happy to assist you, and we'll get through this together.
Yep.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Well,
We will.
okay. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you again.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.